So last Sunday, Philip Hammond caused quite a, shall we say, hootenanny, and well, increasingly, Hammond has been calling out the Conservative Party and calling it a party that he no longer recognises, that has been taken over by extremists. Strong words, but there is something else that, shall we say, he has talked about, he said, and that has been echoed in other comments from people from around the city. The first being that a lot of people, because of the judgment about the promulgation being illegal, lost a lot of money. Now we know that there has been, I think it was someone close to Boris Johnson, I can't remember if it was one of his family, it might be his brother or sister, came out and said that the reason because Johnson is acting irrationally at the moment is because he's being put under immense pressure by his backers and people who backed Leave, that they stand to make a lot of money by shorting the pound and betting on Brexit for basic disaster capitalism. Yeah, you didn't vote for that, though, did you? So, and Philip Hammond has echoed the same things, that his backers, a lot of his financial backers, stand to make a lot of money. And this is what Labour should be doing. So I am applauding Corbyn for doing this, because this is what needs to be done. This is the type of investigations that need to be done to protect our democracy. So, Brexit. Labour demands an inquiry into the ex-chancellor's claims that Boris Johnson's backers are set to profit from a no-deal. Philip Hammond said that radicals in number 10 Downing Street do not want an EU withdrawal agreement. Labour is demanding an independent conflict of interest inquiry into the Prime Minister, following allegations by Philip Hammond that Boris Johnson's wealthy supporters stand to profit from a no-deal Brexit. In a blistering attack on the PM, the former Chancellor claimed that Mr Johnson is backed by speculators who have bet billions on a disorderly exit from the European Union. Writing in the Times, Mr Hammond said that the radicals advising Mr Johnson in Downing Street do not want to deal with Brussels. Mr McDonnell has written to the government's most senior civil servant, Cabinet Secretary Sir Mark Sidwell, and asked for an investigation into an alleged conflict of interest with the currency speculators. This has led, in this letter to Sir Mark, the Shadow Chancellor has said that there has been widespread reports of instances in short positions taken against the sterling in the lead up to a possible no-deal Brexit. And Mr Johnson and the Conservative Party had received a significant sum in donations from no-deal backers, a number of who are involved in hedge funds, he said. Meanwhile, the PM has made it clear that he is ready to go ahead with a no-deal outcome to the UK's withdrawal from the EU. These three facts have caused concern that the Prime Minister may have a conflict of interest, wrote Mr McDonnell. Donors to the Conservative Party and or the Prime Minister could stand to gain from a no-deal Brexit, even only through even though the cushioning of losses by adopted short positions. The Prime Minister could reasonably be seen as having an interest in securing a no-deal Brexit to the financial benefit of his donors. He added, it is becoming increasingly apparent from public comment that the Prime Minister is bringing into doubt whether he is upholding the highest standards, therefore furthering undermining public confidence and trust in him and his government. It is therefore important for public confidence and trust in the House of Commons that any real or apparent conflict of interest is investigated. And this isn't the only thing as well. He's also potentially being investigated for stuff he did during his time during the Mayor of London, which is quite frankly about time. So Mr Hammond, who has said that he will not be attending the Tories' annual conference for the first time in 35 years, also claimed that the party he had first joined is suffering a convulsion that makes it now at least unrecognisable to him. The MP who had the Tory whip removed for voting against the government to block a no-deal exit from the European Union wrote in an article for The Times that Boris Johnson asserts ever more boldly that we will leave the EU on the 31st of October, with or without a deal. But, as his sister has reminded us, He is backed by speculators who have bet billions on a hard Brexit, and there is only one outcome that works for them: a crash-out, no-deal Brexit that sends the currency tumbling and inflation soaring. So they, at the least, will be reassured to see no evidence at all that his government has seriously pursued any deliverable deals, still less that it has been pushing a deal that could get us out by the 31st of October. Speaking earlier this week, Rachel Johnson, the Prime Minister's sister, was asked on BBC Radio 4's World at One who could be behind the strategy to deliver Brexit in any shape or form. She replied it could be Dominic Cummings, advising the Prime Minister to be extremely aggressive and to face down opponents from all sides of his establishment in order to secure his position as the tribune of the people. Miss Johnson continued. It could be coming from my brother himself. He's obviously thoroughly enjoys being the Prime Minister. It could be from, who knows, people who have invested billions in shorting the pound or shorting the country in expectation of a no-deal Brexit. Downing Street declined to comment on Mr Hammond's remarks on the eve of the party's annual conference when he approached by The Independent, but Business Minister Nadine Zaral said that they were completely untrue. Philip, you let yourself down by claiming that speculators on a no deal are interfering in us leaving the EU. This is an ugly smear that is completely untrue. If you know anything about finance or the city, then you will know that. He said. Labour MP David Laramie, however, claimed it's official. Philip Hammond in today's Times confirming that Boris Johnson is committed to a hard Brexit because of disaster capitalists who are backing his campaign will make millions. In this article for the Times, Mr Hammond added of his party, gone is the relaxed Broadchurch coalition, united in belief in free trade, open markets, fiscal discipline and fear of the pernicious effects of socialism, but tolerant of a wide range of social and political opinion within the ranks. It is the place of an ideological puritanism that brokers no dissent and that there is no more strident than in his tone. So, yeah, once again, as we've been saying from the very beginning of Brexit, Brexit was backed always by disaster capitalists. This is what they want. They want to make and bet against the UK so that they can go in and just buy up assets on the cheap. You know, this was told before the referendum, after the referendum. There was a guy who bet against the pound on the morning of the referendum and made billions. And you know, as I said last video, if you still, knowing all this information, want to leave the European Union, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, there's just no way to cut it now.